The lightning serpent carries the living light template, through the pyramid of fire at the heart of Orion. The serpent as a laser beam of living light draws a vortex into the plasma field of the Orion Nebula. This vortex turns back upon itself and the Anu is born. The Trapezium of Orion has an eye at its center. This eye is a portal or vortex, into our local space. This vortex resembles an eye through which the lightning serpent projects its consciousness. The pupil of the eye at the center of the vortex is the Anu. The Anu folds and forms platonic geometrics within the light body, which then manifests as the electron shells of atoms. The Anu can be seen as the universal heart of all living entities, galaxies and the universe itself. Within the AbZu vortexes, little tornadoes of whirling and spiraling energy begin to form. The vortexes are like the little eddies in a river. The vortex is nature's natural flow form for fluids. When two of these vortexes join their funnels, they form a torus. The torus is a unique flow form in hydrodynamics. It allows fluids to spiral inwards and outwards on the same surface of the torus. It is a very stable flow form. The individual torus donuts can be nested inside each other. The Anu is 7 nested torus. Some torus are rotating from clockwise and others counterclockwise. These Anu compose specific families of aggregated groups. In physical matter, 2 types of units, or Anu, have been observed. They are alike in everything save the direction of their whirls and of the force which pours through them. The one is like a spring, from which water bubbles out, the other is like a hole, into which matter disappears. The Anu is the primordial atom, it is the smallest unit of matter, and it is the 7th spinning torus heart at the center of all matter and manifestation. The Anu builds all atoms, molecules and chemical units. The Anu within the nebula clouds synthesize and promote the evolution of molecules needed for the origin of life. Nesting torus donuts requires that the vortex cones of the torus are aligned with the faces of the platonic solids. All platonic solids can be nested into each other. It is the nesting of the platonic solids that creates the electron shells of the atom. The electrons in the electron shells correspond with the vortexes that are nested in platonic symmetries. The Phi Spiral is the universe's only possible way to nest and become self-organizing. This is how stable matter can be formed from electromagnetic energy as a form of pure wave interference. Electromagnetic energy in a straight line is what we call light. When this same light chases its own tail around the surface of the torus shape, we call it matter. The golden mean spirals of the torus shape eventually spiral into a perfect zero still point in the nucleus of the vortex that coincides with the nucleus of the atom. When donuts are nested to form the electron shells of the atom, the only requirement to continue this form of non-destructive interference is that these donuts align according to the platonic solid geometries. When these nested donuts inside the atom are arranged according to the platonic solid's symmetries, all waves will rush into the center of the atom, creating repetitive, recursive or fractal patterns that not only shape the electron shells but also the nucleus. Eventually the fractal patterns disappear into a zero point in the nucleus of the atom. The fractal patterns that shape the atom, also shape our planets and stars, in fact they shape the entire universe. So if the universe is in essence a hologram and there is only one principle that shapes everything from atoms to planets, stars, and the universe at large, we should find proof of these vortexes, platonic solids, and donut structures in all parts of the universe. This holographic principle of the universe was first mentioned by the ancient Greek Hermes as one of the 7 Hermetic Principles, as above, so below, as below, so above. What Hermes meant was that there is a correspondence between the different planes of existence, the macrocosmos and the microcosmos. This Hermetic principle tells us that what we see out there in the universe, in the galaxies, stars and planets, we will also find on a smaller scale inside the atoms. Recent discoveries made by astrophysics have also shown that the platonic geometrics can also be found in the clustering of galaxies. Superclusters are gathered along lines and at intersecting points form at least 4 locally identified octahedra, which are joined at their tips in a sort of crystalline pattern. Between and inside these octahedra are clusters of galaxies. Lines connect star systems in together to create lens through which consciousness can project its awareness into lower dimensions, as in the Antarean conversion. The stars and the magnetic geometry they create in the dielectric plasma field are portals and lens into other dimensions.